I hope you've had a wonderful day, because I'm about to make it a little worse. I'm gonna give you something you get very angry about. I'm gonna be like Krampus over here ruining your Christmas. Let me just hit you with the quick Wikipedia plot summary here. There's a professional Dota 2 player named Ninja Boogie who was recently fired from his esports org because his mom had stage 4 cancer and they were afraid it was going to affect his performance. Yeah, it's as fucked up as it sounds. Regardless of how you feel about esports, I'm sure you can all recognize that getting fired from your job for something like this is beyond evil. Here's his tweet about it. Unfortunately, his mother did pass away, and he did get let go by his org. And that org is Team SMG, who posted this announcement thanking Boogie for all of his hard work and all of that, even posting a little gif of him dancing, making it seem like they're really going to miss him, even though they were the ones that initiated this departure for something outside of Boogie's control. Boogie commented asking them to tell the real reason for the kick, and they've gone radio silent ever since. Team SMG is using a timeless classic here. This is a strategy that's been used since the beginning of time, just putting your fingers in your ears and pretending not to hear all of the screams of people calling for you to address what you fucked up with. When you really make a big mistake, suck a fart out of butt, instead of taking responsibility, just ignore everything. It's worked a million times in the past. Now, I don't know much about Team SMG. I know it stands for Stay Moving Under Gunfire, which is a pretty silly name. It sounds like an Xbox Live randomly generated gamer tag. But I also know that it's run by this guy who has a bored ape for a profile pic. And this is some real bored ape behavior here, firing someone because their mom has cancer. So I didn't know anything about Team SMG before all of this, and now the only thing I know them for is being complete scumbags, and I think they're grosser than shit stains in a gas station urinal. Ninja Boogie went into a little bit more detail on how all of this happened. The way he describes it in these tweets is he was due for a boot camp on a certain day, and then his mother had a stroke, and he was talking with management asking if it'd be okay to move the flights around a little bit to accommodate him so he could spend some time with his mom and see how all of that's going. And he'd still be there in time for the boot camp with, plenty of time to spare. But after telling them what his decision was, hoping that the flights could be arranged a little bit so he could see his mom, they kicked him. What an absolute Sigma grind set. Oh, your family's dying? That's no excuse, pussy. Get the fuck off the squad if you can't focus on dubskis. Family is temporary. The blockchain is forever. Bored apes for life. Yeah, NFTs. Yeehaw. Now, for what it's worth, I don't actually think the Bored Ape guy was the one who made the decision to kick Boogie from the team. I'm pretty sure he's just a very hands-off, passive owner who pumps money into this in the hopes that he can sell it for more in a couple of years and doesn't really make any decisions with the org. But I still do like to joke about Bored Ape enthusiasts. There were just so many ways of handling this situation with even just an iota of sympathy and care. He wasn't even missing anything. He was just going to arrive a bit later to boot camp than initially anticipated. He was still going to be there on time, which means he would have still fulfilled all of his obligations, even in spite of all the terrible shit he was going through. And for some reason, they still decided it wasn't good enough and kicked him. They could have given him, like, a brief leave or something. They could have just given him time off. They didn't have to, like, go the nuclear option and just fucking boot him off of the squad. He was still going to compete and still wanting very much to compete. Just absolutely foul from Team SMG, and I really hope they do comment on this at some point here pretty soon. I hope they don't just keep burying their head in their own ass and just ignoring it. I would really like to see how they justify this, because I can't imagine a world where Team SMG is so delusional, high off their own farts, that they thought for a single second that Boogie wouldn't say why he got kicked. Obviously, people would ask why he got kicked, and they really thought he wouldn't say the reason, especially when it's this evil. How stupid can an org be? They fired him because his mom had cancer, and he wanted to spend a little extra time with her before going to boot camp. He was still going to go, and they fired him. And they thought that he wouldn't say that? They really expected him to just keep quiet as if it was some kind of like witness protection program kind of shit. Like, how stupid can you possibly be as an org? It makes no sense, and I'm really curious to see their side of this and how they explain all of it. But I imagine they'll never actually publicly comment on this unless, of course, they go for some like dog shit PR speak where it'll be something like, No, you guys have got it all wrong. We didn't kick him because of his family stuff. It had nothing to do with it. In fact, we only wished him and his family well and were supportive during this entire time. We actually kicked him because of many other variables behind the scenes. He got a C on his sociology report. There were just so many things that led to us making the difficult decision to part ways with him, and none of it had to do with his family or anything like that. So yeah, all around just an extremely horrible situation, and the team's name is still moving under gunfire, and I'm very curious to see how they move under this gunfire from the entire internet collapsing on top of them. I wonder how they're going to navigate this minefield here, because right now the strategy is ignore it, but I wonder how long they can continue to do that. And I really have to imagine for the players that are still signed to Team SMG, this doesn't bode well for their confidence in the org, because if something beyond their control happens, God forbid, the org is not going to stand behind them. Their jobs are in jeopardy if something happens in their lives that they can't control. Because clearly SMG has no problem cutting people for those kind of reasons. So it has to shake their confidence in their org, which is bad for the health of the entire org altogether, I would imagine. Team SMG showed that they're not afraid to fuck you in the ass. So for players that are currently signed, that's got to be a red flag that their jobs can be in jeopardy in the drop of a hat. Out of nowhere, they could just get fired for something they had no control over. So pretty horrible look for Team SMG, and again, I really do hope they stay something pretty soon. I held off on making this video for about 9 hours now, just waiting if they'll actually make a comment, and they still haven't, so I'm still gonna post it now, and hopefully pretty soon after they will say something, because there needs to be some level of explanation for what their thought process was with some absolute insanity like this. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.